My name is Dr. Nish Sonwalkar, known as Nish Sonwalkar. I am Managing Director and the founder of Synaptic Global Learning, and I'll be presenting this session for you remotely from Boston, Massachusetts in the United States of America to your esteemed conference in the area of digital learning. And I want to thank Digital Learning Congress to invite me remotely to present this conference, and I'm sorry I couldn't make in person there. However, I'm sure this conference will be a great success, and I want to thank Patricia for organizing this conference and getting me involved with this. And my background is from Massachusetts Institute of Technology. I got my PhD there, and then I was faculty for a number of years, and now I'm an entrepreneur, and I've started this company called Synaptic Global Learning. And today I'll be talking to you in this session about adaptive mobile learning for excellence in education. So let's begin this talk. So I'm going to cover a few topics here in this talk. One is, what is brain-based adaptive learning? That's my area of research, and I'm going to take you through some of the ideas of synaptic learning. And then we have come up with a model called four-dimensional learning, so we'll talk about that. And then how we can create a structure, especially with the mobile apps that are coming out all over the world, how we can use those adaptive apps in order to create really very effective online education. Then I'll talk to you about adaptive learning management system environment, which we popularly know as AMOL, adaptive mobile learning. Then I'll give you a few case studies which we have done using our adaptive learning engine, and conclude with my some of the observations that we have made with adaptive learning deployments. So number one issue, as you all know, with online education is that one size fits all does not work. There's very low completion rate. Students are frustrated primarily because they try to learn online. They do not get enough feedback in time, and then they are lost. There's only one way to learn. And so what I have come up with, a solution based on my research at MIT and beyond that, is to understand how human beings learn, and based on that we have come up with this brain-based adaptive solution. So adaptive solution for the current online program that we are offering is, number one, personalized learning experience with adaptive learning on mobile devices. Increased completion rates, almost 90 to 95%. I'll show you some case studies. I want to make it very affordable, engaging with the students so they finish programs very quickly, and we have done some master's program in management. And we want to use the very high quality content with effective pedagogy. Pedagogy is number one thing. Pedagogy means that a model for learning and providing real-time feedback, understanding the learning strategies of the individual learner, and then giving them an opportunity to learn the best. So in this case, we track every individual student, see their progress, and provide them intelligent feedback in real time so that they can improve their performance and mastery. And the real-time learner analytics allows us to provide that information to instructors so they can also do their job much better in real time. And then we are able to get students to very high completion rates as well as very high learning outcome. In order to do this very, very sophisticated online adaptive learning using synaptic learning, you need an environment to produce courses. So we have come up with a rapid production environment where you can create large number of courses very, very quickly. And now our platform is also used for massive open online courses. You may have heard about them. Everyone is doing MOOCs now, and our platform is the only adaptive MOOC platform. Thank you. So now let's move forward with adaptive learning and how we learn through the synaptics. So as you know, human brain is a very, very complicated machinery. It has billions of neurons and trillions of connections between them. So if you look at those connections, start with the neuron. So let me use my laser pointer here. So this is the neuron, which is a single cell. It normally has a cell body, but there's also these long tails. And this is very special cell in human body, which is called neuron, which has a tail and dendrites. So the two neurons can connect through axons and also the synaptic cleft, which is formed here. So at this point, as the input is given to human brain, then that creates an electrochemical process, and then the current flows through the neural network. Lots of brain cells get connected, and their connection is then formed with what we call long-term potential. So when you do certain learning tasks many times, then the cells, those who are lighting together, they get connected. And this was one of the research done by Donald Hibb, and that is really true about the what we call brain plasticity. So as you do new learning tasks, the brain is able to create a neural network to do that task, and those neural networks form a network, and then electrical potential goes through them, and that's called action potential. So what we are trying to do here at the Synaptic Learning System, which is where the name Synaptic comes from, we want to really create lots of synaptic connections in a very short amount of time so you can reach your learning goal very quickly. So these are the 4 dimensions of our synaptic learning platform. So number 1, we have primary sensory perception. As you see, watch, or hear, those are sensory perception, or even taste and touch something. So what we want to do, as you do this sensory perception, what happens that the neural networks are lighted up, there's current flowing through. So we want to maximize the electrical signal to your brain. So that's called multimedia to enhance sensory perception. So you will use audio, video, animation, simulation, etc. These models to increase the electrical signal between your synapses. Secondary part is that once the information is received through this enhanced synapses connection, then we want to analyze it. And for that we use cognitive learning models, which are called apprentice learner, inductive learner. So what happens that every individual who receives that electrical signal, they process it differently. So that processing is called cognition. So then cognition means you understood something, you recognize something. So learning model we provide is based on cognitive psychology literature, and those are 5 different learning strategies which I'll talk about. And then once you have analyzed the content using cognitive processes, then you want to know whether you understood it correctly, so you have to be given real-time intelligent feedback. And that we achieve by providing neural network and also statistical inference software at the back end, which is the artificial intelligence-based software, which allows you then to give student real-time feedback whether they are learning or not. And then finally we then connect them to fellow learners so that they can learn from each other based on social learning, which is called utilization or of synaptic strengthening. So when I start talking about what I've learned and I start teaching that to my fellow students and my fellow colleagues in the corporate environment, then if I mastered certain idea in the corporation, then I will teach everyone else, and that is called synaptic strengthening. So for corporations and the large corporation, this kind of adaptive mobile learning is very effective, primarily because we have this learning cube network. So 4-dimensional learning, hypermedia instruction and teaching environment is what I generated as a researcher, and that framework is called learning cube framework. So let's look at this learning cube. So in this learning cube we have 3 dimensions. First one is multimedia, learning models, and then interactivity, and the 4th overarching dimension is what I call a social construction. So what we are doing here is taking a student and varying him or her through different learning pathways, and those pathways are generated by 5 distinctive learning strategies. So apprentice is step-by-step learning. Some learners in corporations are telling me, just tell me steps and I'm going to do my task very well. Or in some cases they say, oh, show me a real life scenario, then I'll understand. That's called incidental learning. Or sometimes they will say, give me example. How do people do this? Let's say if I'm an aircraft engineer, show me how the aircraft engine is designed. So that would be inductive learning. Some of them will say, no, put me a flight simulator. I want to learn flying and I want to learn by doing. That's called deductive learners. And some of them will say, no, don't tell me anything. I'll figure it out by pushing and prodding certain buttons which are given to me, and then I'll discover it myself. That's called discovery based learning. So we take all the content to train in a very, very sophisticated advanced manufacturing areas and other areas, and then we understand using our four-dimensional cube model that we can get them to a very sophisticated way of learning and getting them to get trained and master the concepts very quickly. So this system is all about mastery based learning. So what are our differentiators? So I do own a patent, US patent in the area of adaptive learning, and our differentiator for this patent is that number one, we have a very solid pedagogical framework, which you saw as Learning Cube framework. We also have a very nice way of quantification of learning performance. So we do statistical analysis of every learner's behavior, and then based on those adaptive learning cycle, we are able to do content sequencing, dynamically rendering content with a different sequence, so that we can show students and also learners in the corporation how they can really master the concept very quickly. So if they go through our content, we give them a learning task. If they don't do well, we'll rotate them to different learning strategies. And there are 5 different learning strategies, as I said: apprentice, incidental, inductive, deductive, and discovery. So for that, we are we have a lot of variations in learning, which allows them to master it. And the system will then adapt to the learning styles and strategy that works for them based on the statistical inference. And then what we also do here is that we provide intelligent feedback, so they are never lost in learning process. And so that's where our differentiator here, each student trajectory is customized for individual learners, dynamic rendering of the content, and customization of media, models, and interactivity in social interaction. That's where the sophistication of our model comes in. So what is happening in the world of adaptive learning? Yes, we do have some competition. However, we are the only organization which is providing now self-serving software as a solution. So you could be anywhere in the Europe or in any other part of the world. You can access the tools that we have generated, and based on those tools, you can create very sophisticated adaptive learning courses. Excuse me. So if you look at, we have really pushed the envelope towards a synaptic learning system, which is also now incorporating mobile systems, and I'll talk about mobile systems in a minute. So the way our system works in the model that I propose, brain-based adaptive learning model, we have created content in 5 different learning strategies, and then we allow students to take a learning strategies test. So your employee comes in, we give him a 25-question survey. He says, I learned this way, I like video, I like audio, and things like that. So based on that, we say, okay, maybe it looks like you are a case study learner. So we will put you in there, give you a learning task, and see that, oh, you got only 30% right in the diagnostic quiz that we give you after you finish the learning task. And say, this doesn't seem like case studies for you, so we'll rotate it to you. So we'll rotate as many times until we find the learning strategy that works for them, which takes an employee and a learner in corporate situation or in academia to the 100% competency, and then we see 90 to 95% completion. And that is our claim of fame. So how do we do this? Well, now you need tools to do this. So we came up with very sophisticated model where we have learning strategy, learning media, models, interactivity, and social construction. So how we put it all together? So we have a technology platform called AMOL, Adaptive Mobile Learning Platform. So in that, what we do is we are able to create adaptive learning courses in 4 easy steps. You do not have to do a lot of things. Number 1, you take the content, and you take this content in various forms, audio, video, animation, simulation, whatever you can find about the subject matter. Let's say I want to create a course in the area of flight simulators. So someone pilot training. So we are going to train lots of pilots in short amount of time. So everything related to pilot training content will be collected, including simulators. And then what we will do, we'll chunk that content with a smaller size and then meta tag them. So it will tell us what that content does in terms of the learning. Then we upload that into our repository, which is number 3 steps. And number 4 step is to now take all this content and create 5 different learning strategies, intelligent feedback connected with the quizzes that we do. And with that, we are able to reach very high quality of learning, as we said in the previous slide, where we take them through different learning strategies, assess if they are doing well. If they are not doing well, we'll change their learning strategy until we find the one which really works for them. And so we are able to use this platform to also create DVDs, convert these courses into iPad learning apps, also create e-publication, adaptive test prep. If there is a course which requires test prep, let's say if you want to get Microsoft certified, you have to take a test. We'll also create a course for test prep. And you can also use that as corporate online courses, or you can deploy them as ebook. So our platform does a lot of different things once you have the course on. So these are our tools that we have generated. AMOL is a powerful adaptive data-driven learning technology platform. iDesigner, which we have our own proprietary tool for instructional design based on the taxonomy-driven design and organizational tool, where we can organize all the content, create 5 different instructional models, and then save them along with a quiz builder, where we are able to take the quiz and present powerful generation of pre-test, post-test, diagnostic, concept mastery, graded exam, using multiple choices, true, false, and matching concept skills. So there's a lot of ways we can assess you and also give you real-time feedback. It's not enough that I just assess you with some quiz, but I have to give you real-time feedback. So all of these courses also sit in Knowledge Asset repository. So we have our own repository. And then we have to generate a lot of multimedia, which I'll show you as an example. In that multimedia, you have to see how student can learn with different learning strategies. So that's called multimedia authoring engine. So we also have authoring engine. And then finally, very important, we also have a assessment engine where we can evaluate effectiveness, pedagogical effectiveness of the online course. And then now we are also doing the same adaptive learning on massive open online course environment, which we call AMOL, Adaptive Mobile Learning, AMOOC, which is Adaptive MOOC. Okay, with that tool set, this is the way, these are the screenshots. So if you log into our platform, you have AMOL integrated platform where you can do all these activities to create very high quality courses. And in that case, you have all these assets created as an app. And this is where I'm coming back, is that everything what we are doing now is working and works with the brain-based adaptive learning technology on the iPads or Android tablets. So on the tablets, everything you can do and create your courses and deploy your courses on the tablets. So everything what we have generated is almost like an app. So if you look at instructional design app is there, media generation app is there, authoring app is there. Then you may also have external apps that I can show you where you can see Voyages of the World, and all of this content that we are working with publishers can be deployed. And what we have also done, because in many countries and many locations in the United States, there's also different kinds of learning management systems available. So what we have done, we have an API. So the adaptive learning, which is what I'm professing here, is in order for you to do effective online education or training for corporations or for academia, you need to have adaptive learning. But you may already have Blackboard or any other LMS of any kind, a European LMS or a Chinese LMS or LMS running in different European countries, in German, French, and other languages. Then we are going to use our adaptive engine, which works with all languages and goes right inside and powers your LMS and makes them adaptive. So this is adaptive courses generally deployed on mobile devices, and mobile devices are a lot more available now than the laptops. So what we do is mobile device, we are focusing is iPad. This is the iPad environment, and in that, as student goes in, he has available 5 different learning strategies, and all the course curriculum is given, and then you can learn everything online. And I'll show you how these different learning strategies differ. So in this case, if you look at here, you have 5 different distinct learning strategies, And then we also collect a lot of analytics on the student. So we have progress of the student, performance of the student, activities of the students, and attendance. So this is where what we do is that for the corporate learners, where let's say if you have to train 1,000 employees in 1 month time, how would you manage it? It's a very difficult task. So we will give them an adaptive learning engine. The engine will find for every 1,000 employees the learning strategy that works best for them, give them a customized solution online, and they may have all access to a tablet or a laptop. So our engine is going to look at every employee, make sure they perform and get to the highest level of competency, and then once they do it, that information is sent to their trainers and their bosses, and they will know that their workforce is trained and their managers are trained and their executives are trained. So we can do all of these training and development of the employees. And the good thing about our model, and I will show you some case studies where you understand how this model would work, is that we can deploy the course in any language, 30 different languages. So if you look at this language list from Google Language, you can have English, you can have Azerbaijan, you can also have Irish, you can have English, Polish, absolutely. We can also run courses in Poland and Warsaw in the Polish language without any problem. Now we are also doing massive open online courses. I just finished that one MOOC in the area of molecular dynamics simulation for computational discoveries in science. This is the course which I teach in universities. So if you look at here, we created the first adaptive MOOC for that, and I will also show you how that works. So in this case, the model, the way it works is that a student comes in, they do the learning task, then they take a diagnostic exam. As soon as they don't do well, they are given a dynamically rendered short course so that they can overcome the difficulties that they did not get. And I think that's the power of our tool, is that there are 5 different ways that you can learn. And in the first one is apprentice, which is step by step. Incidental is based on real life scenario. Inductive is based on example. Deductive is based on learning by doing, and discovery is based on learning by games. So we have put a lot of games in our system. And our model is very simple. What we do is that you can subscribe to our platform, and then as soon as you create your online course, upload it on our ALM store, then any employee from your organization can take that course, and based on that, we can work out an arrangement for the payment of the employee training and things like that. Most important part here is that we have highly scalable architecture. So we have now created a lot of learning apps which are all connected through single sign-on learning technology interface layer, LTI layer 2.0, which is coming from IMS organization. We are fully compliant with disability. We are fully compliant with SCORM standards, which are shareable content reference model. And so if you look at here, we do everything on the cloud. So we are mobile learning sitting on the cloud, and we can do 100 students or 100 employees to 1 million employees without any problem. So it is the main issue there, is that we are highly customizable. So now let me show you some case studies. So this is a course that we did for PricewaterhouseCoopers long time back, and in that what we were able to do, this was a course for mid-career executive in order to become better coaches for their own employees. Okay, so in this case, what we did, 2 divisions of PricewaterhouseCoopers, Management Consulting Group, Global Risk Management Group, and we had 4,600 employees go through our system, and we had 97% completion. And because in this course we provided 3 different learning strategies, we had increased the completion rate between 87% to 97%, and this is why the adaptive learning is so powerful. Another case study that we did in 2005 with our adaptive learning engine was to take students who do not know anything about computers and give them digital literacy. And this was funded by CompTIA Foundation. So in that case, we took a class and we provided some instruction just to begin with it. and then online course. So they had classroom, very limited classroom, only 30%, and 70% they had to do online using our adaptive learning cube. And then what we saw is that their competency grew from 50% to 90%. So there were 3 modules: computer fundamentals, key application, living online. And this is how it works for adaptive learning. So in adaptive learning, as you know, there is a learning cycle. So you can take as many learning cycles to reach your competency. But once you reach the competency, then you take a test. And there was a Microsoft backed test which is called digital literacy test, which is called IC3 test. So Internet Core Competency Test. So if you look at here, module 1, and these are just sample 11 students to see those students how they are doing. So if a student got a score on our adaptive system 93%, in module 3 93%, and also module 5 93%, he took 29 cycles, but when he took the test, he passed the Microsoft testing right away. So here is the correlation. Same student here you're looking at, and within that we had 90% student completing the IC3 exam and successfully doing it, as compared to in the classroom where they only got 30%. So then we got funding from Department of Workforce in state of Massachusetts in United States, and we did 400 workers all around the state. And this is the case study which we did. In 4 months, we got 84% out of these 400 workers trained. And now we can do millions of workers trained in very, very short amount of time in digital literacy. Now here is a case study, the last one, where we took our adaptive learning approach and did a fully master's program in business administration. As you know, in all corporations, you have MBAs, Master of Management. So this is now training for what we call as the executive training. So this is executive MBA program, and this is the entire trajectory for 12 months. So this was a 12 months program, and we were tracking 4 months each semesters and tracking every student how they are doing. So tracking the first student master's degree program, and we looked at that there were 37 credits they have to do, 21 were core, and 16 were concentration, business or healthcare, and we have 4. If you look at student would only do 1 weekend a month. So they had only 12 weekends a month face-to-face, rest was all online. And so if you look at the first cohort, and 15 students, 50% minority, and guess what happened for the first cohort of 15 students in the MBA program? This is completion of the MBA program in 1 year time. We got 93% student completing it. And mostly online education MBA program does only 50 to 60% degree completion. We had 93% degree completion, and if you look at the average grade was 3.96 out of 4.0. So they had very high competency in learning. So if you look at here, we were able to monitor the classroom. We also look at individual student performance. This is student 1. You can see that for the concept 1, he took 4 attempts, and he was incidental learner, and he passed that. So this is in 5 different learning strategies. So if you look at here, he starts with 71. He didn't do so well because our threshold is 80%. He does incidental, so we move him to discovery learning. Then he comes back to incidental again. He does very well, 85%, and then he gets 100% competency. So in our system, just to say that every concept you have to get 100% mastery using learning strategies and adaptive learning. Then they are given an assessment by the professor, and then they can pass or not pass the exam. So here are example of student 1, again in a different concept. So the concept mastery is very, very important. And in this case, the student took 3 cycles to get 100% competency. Here is a student 2. And if you look at here, he did again 3 cycles, and his dominant learning strategy was apprentice, step-by-step learner, and he got to the 100% competency. Now here is a student who took 17 cycles. So we said, hey, what's going on? So we looked at that. So here is a student who is struggling with the concept, going up and down, and this was a business research method. He had not taken statistics course earlier, so we brought him to a statistics course first, and then guess what happened to him? he did very well later on. As soon as we understood that he did not have prerequisite, we gave him the prerequisite information on statistics, then he did very well. So we were, and that's why we have 97, 92, 95, 97% completion rate, because we identify where students are having trouble, give them the right content in real time, dynamically generated in the learning style that works for them. So now in this case, this is a typical student number 4. He takes 7 cycles, but he eventually does get 100% competency. So we looked at and we followed for over 2-year period about 61 students, and we found that with adaptive learning we had 56 students all completed and a 91% completion rate. So number 1, if I have to conclude my presentation, adaptive mobile learning is highly scalable, mobile app-based adaptive learning environment for rapid production and digital products for corporations as well as large universities. And if you are going to do any online education, you have to do adaptive learning. So AMOL is a learning technology platform that enables customized for faculty. So faculty, we also have a faculty corner where they can organize course any way they want to deliver with adaptive learning, and also personalized for the student. And if you look at it, increases productivity for the teachers, and we have seen based on our case studies, student completion rates really go high. And if you look at the adaptive mobile learning, especially with the mobile devices, now you can use on iPad, iPhone, iTouch, you name it. And also if you look at, we are very highly scalable. We're on the Amazon cloud, and so you can go from 50 student to 250,000 student or 500,000 student, and you will get very good performance. So I know in Europe a lot of things are happening now in the area of online education, and I want to thank you for giving me this opportunity, and I hope with this presentation you understand a bit about brain-based adaptive learning system. And I would encourage you to contact me at nish@mit.edu, and feel free to drop me an email, and I'll be happy to answer your questions, if any questions you have, or if you want to collaborate and work with Synaptic Global Learning. Thank you, and bye.